When I was in Greenville, South Carolina on Saturday watching the Pearl Jam show, I saw my friend Scott, who I went to high school with, and he goes, "You think they're going to do it? You think they'll play the show Wednesday?" Oh, yeah. We're good. I think they would have canceled by now. So what happened, do you think, Brad, between Saturday and Monday when Pearl Jam canceled?
I don't think – I just think they thought about it and finally decided to do it.
I think that McCrory appearance on Meet the Press kind of – they might have been leaning one way or the other. I think that might have been like, fuck him. I just saw this asshole for 10 minutes. And I'm not
it doesn't even have to be that.
I'm not saying that's wrong.
I don't think that's true.
But I believe that really kind of made some sort of impact in their decision. And let me put all the cards on the table here. I don't worship these guys. I don't look at them for leadership. But they've taken a few stands in their careers that have been not helpful for them in terms of making money. Going to war with Ticketmaster wasn't helpful for them in terms of making money. It kind of screwed them out of a lot of bucks.
Well, but that was a statement that they were making. That was principle over money.
It was. And
what's wrong with that?
What's the irony in this situation? I will be refunded my money from this concert except for the Ticketmaster fee, which they will take. So this is a band that does stand on principle. And they have not played Raleigh, North Carolina in 13 years. They've only played North Carolina once since 2004. That was Charlotte in 2013. This was a tough decision for these guys to make, and I don't think they wanted to do it. But I also thought they said
no, but that's why it's a good decision, because it was a tough decision.
Exactly. And Eddie's got a statement that he put out and he made when they did the show in Hampton, Virginia last night. And he said, look, we looked at it. We know this is going to hurt a lot of people, and I know you guys are pissed off, and I know some of you people who are booing
but
right now.
But they'll be back, and they'll reschedule it when it becomes appropriate. They will.
My hope is that the people of North Carolina wake the fuck up, vote out Pat McCrory, get this repealed, and that Pearl Jam and Bruce Springsteen and maybe Boston and whoever else play a big fucking free show at Charlotte Motor Speedway or Bank of America Stadium or Carter Finley. That's my hope that's going to happen a year from now. If we, as North Carolinians, get a clue and take these assholes out to the woodshed for what they've done to our state, I want to see my band a 12th time. I really do. But you know what I want more than that? I want my state back. I want North Carolina not to be an embarrassment anymore. I want North Carolina not to be a punchline on late night shows and on news shows. So if this is what it takes to get me to get my state back, then I'm all for it. And I wasn't inconvenienced that much. I know that there are people who were going to fly in. I know there are people, I've heard people already who were pissed off because they got screwed over on hotels, but some of the hotels are making a one-time decision to refund their money. Yeah. So some of the people are going to get their money back. I know that this was inconvenient, but this is not Axl Rose deciding 5 minutes before the show that he's going to fuck over the fans. That's not what this band does. So the governor's office has decided.
Oh, they didn't answer back to Pearl Jam, did they?
Well, it was really a blanket. It's a blanket statement to all of the bands, to Boston, to Pearl Jam, to Springsteen, to Cirque du Soleil, Ringo, and to George Clooney. They've decided to lump George Clooney in there. Today, this is from Ricky Diaz. Ricky Diaz is the McCrory campaign spokesman. Today, Pearl Jam and Boston chose to disappoint their fans and punish the hardworking men and women of North Carolina by canceling their shows.
That's what they did. That was point number one they were trying to make. How can we punish?
Well, that was the title of Eddie's speech is "Fuck you, fans." That's what he said. Okay. But it is the height of hypocrisy for these Hollywood elitists to deny their service to customers over a political disagreement. I really do.
Don't even waste your time.
It's not stupid. Useful, but I would just like to point out nobody in that band lives anywhere near Hollywood. They've been in 2 movies ever, and they've been like on one soundtrack.
You're even to bother to parse the word.
I have to, because if you just they've been saying all of this shit, and you just got to catch a couple of them.
Well, then think about who that statement was designed to appeal to.
Oh, sure.
You want the definition of a low information voter?
Course.
The definition of a low information voter would be someone who would, at any level, allow the use of the phrase Hollywood
their brain.
to count as an umbrella over Bruce Springsteen,
right.
Pearl Jam, Ringo Starr,
right.
and Cirque du Soleil.
These are people that use mainstream media in like regular
is that
conversation.
why they threw George Clooney
That's
in
right,
there?
because to get the Hollywood flavor in there.
Was the George Clooney world tour coming to
George Clooney, who was born in Kentucky and spent most of his life in Kentucky and Ohio. The reality, this asshole.
But if he did have a concert, he'd cancel it. That's it.
Right. The reality is, while these and other groups unfairly target North Carolina, they often tour and play shows in the 29 other states with similar levels of anti-discrimination protections as North Carolina. They break each of these bands down into the individual, and then they talk about the hypocrisy of each of these bands.
Can I answer that for just a moment as to why North Carolina is different than other states that might actually have similar kinds of laws, but none as direct, explicit, and targeted at transgender people as the one that was passed specifically to exclude them from anti-discrimination protection. The answer is because this legislature 3 weeks ago decided they had to target that group explicitly. If it's a religious freedom bullshit bill that exists in some other state, that sucks. But that discriminates against lots of different people. And it does cover sexual orientation if the person genuinely believes that they don't want to bake a cake for somebody gay. And that sucks. But that is not the same as what just happened in North Carolina. And that doesn't even begin to address, because Bruce Springsteen and Eddie Vedder are not going to get into the arcane politics and the real goal of the legislation, which goes way beyond the bathroom crap, which the governor accuses everyone else of making the main issue when it's not, and they know it's not, and they're thrilled that the whole bathroom issue is front and center because they're trying to slip through all these other aspects of this legislation that are so pernicious and so rights abridging of the citizenry.
It's unconstitutional.
So how many things have to be knocked out by the courts that are passed by the legislature?
Well, you just blame the courts. It's those goddamn unelected judges.
No, I'm sorry. Last week, in a unanimous decision, the North Carolina Supreme Court, which is made up of lots of Republican types these days, lots of them, but it was unanimous. They said that all the promises made to veteran teachers about getting pay raises and pension benefits and things of that sort, the attempt by the legislature to yank all those promises away was illegal.
Yeah, couldn't do it.
So that's what's going on here. The courts, of course, it takes them several years usually to get to these kinds of cases.
Exactly.
And that's what's going to happen here. This law is going to be in place.
Well, first you need someone, they call it, you have to have someone who has standing, who's actually harmed by the law, and so that takes a while, all that other shit. So
Which, by the way, will make for great judicial theater should the kind of people who have been directly harmed by this legislation, the bathroom bill, be appearing in court. Because I would assume that the state of North Carolina, when they defend themselves on this law in court, they'll have to ask these transgender people to pull down their pants because, remember, you got to go to the bathroom in the men's or women's room that is matching up with your birth gender.
Right.
And if a guy walks in dressed as a woman and says, I would like to use the women's bathroom, you're going to have to show it.
The show me yours
You're
law.
going to have to show it.
So they go through, Team McCrory does, the hypocrisy of different artists. And under Pearl Jam, they say they're hypocritical because they are touring in 6 states with non-discrimination laws similar to North Carolina's. You've already addressed that and talked about that.
So but
there's more to it. They toured in Singapore, a country that banned LGBT relationships. Those caught can face as much as 2 years in prison. They're citing an article from a setback, a court decision in Singapore in 2014. Ask me when Pearl Jam played Singapore. Wasn't last week.
I don't know.
Wasn't last year. It's 21 years ago.
So what?
21 fucking years ago. And this is the pushback from these assholes.
But
they get away with this.
It's not even.
This is what they put out there. And what I've heard over the past 24 hours is a variation of, well, they're a bunch of has-beens, which is fine because, as you can see from the press that's been generated by this, wow, they really are irrelevant. So do you think, like, if DNCE or Fun or Fleet Foxes or 5 Seconds of Summer had canceled a North Carolina show, do you think it would be getting this kind of press? I don't think it would. This is the kind of bullshit that these people are putting out as pushback. They should have,
because you are painted into the corner.
The
only thing you can do is lie.
This is the meeting that should take place at McCrory headquarters. What do you think we should do today as far as pushback? I think we should shut the fuck up for a whole day. Good, let's do that. That's what should happen. Somebody should raise their hand and say that, and say, we're going to shut up for one day.